You gotta wonder what it feels like to have the best scene in your movie also be the most infuriating part to anyone that actually knows the source material. Greetings viewer, welcome to my channel. I probably don't have to say how objectively bad the Emoji Movie is. Pretty much everyone on YouTube has, and besides, this movie is now 5 years old. That's right, on this day, July 28th of 2017, the Emoji Movie got squirted out by Sony, full of blatant product placement, at best a mediocre story, infuriating characters, and incorrect information about how technology works. I wanted to and did watch this movie for one reason and one reason only: the JustDance scene shown in the trailer.
Feelings are huge. Maybe I'm meant to have more than just one emotion.
Why? Because I love JustDance, come on. Also, as a promotion for the movie, Ubisoft erased a little bit of their history by making an emoji version of Wake Me Up Before You Go Go by Wham, and acted like the original from Just Dance 2 didn't exist. You had to scavenge for the original while this alternate was right there in your face the entire time. Anyway, I don't watch movies in theaters as a personal rule and to save my precious dollars, but as soon as it dropped on Netflix, I finally watched it for myself. And yeah, pretty much everything the reviewers have said about the movie is true, and I won't even pretend to defend it for a second. The Emoji Movie is poo-poo. There, I said it. Then again, that scene. The scene I talked about like a minute ago that they showed in the trailers with the dancing to Just Dance is, to me at least, by far the best scene in the entire movie. This scene is the reason I'm making this video. Because even though this is the best scene in the movie, I can't believe Ubisoft allegedly paid a movie to advertise their product like this. Like, they got almost everything wrong about Just Dance, and especially Just Dance Now. Like, it's insane, as you can probably tell by the length of this video.
But Growing Star, does this video even matter anymore? This movie isn't relevant.
No, yes, and no, I will not elaborate. So what happens in this scene? Well, for those that haven't seen the movie, count your blessings, but right after, the high five emoji eats candy corn for the second time.
Don't do it. Wow.
Our three main characters walk up a flight of stairs into a very dark room. The characters have to walk to the other side of this dark room in order to get to the real-life Dropbox. The door's shape is conspicuous. This is foreshadowing. Jailbreak lets us know that you aren't supposed to turn on this room, as that would presumably lead to this task being more than just a short walk. High Five, as he does, as the comic relief idiot that would get a spin-off if this was a TV show, turns on the room because comedy. Much more on that later. Turning on the room makes the floor tiles fall into space except for the ones holding up our heroes. Suddenly, the best character to ever grace us with her presence appears before us. An angel and soon-to-be tragic hero who wasn't too long for this world but made every second of it the best she could. The unnamed...
Actually, Girlingster, according to the wiki, she does have a name and it's Akiko Glitter. They just never say it in the movie.
Well, that's stupid. Anyway, Akiko Glitter, this unforgettable woman who we could safely assume is a Just Dance coach, explains the character's main situation. Now the characters have to dance or die. Why would they die? Emojis are hard-coded into phones. They can't die. Ugh. High Five has no issues getting stars, and Jean isn't half bad either, but then there's Jailbreak, who admits to having 2 left feet. However, with Jean's help, she finally finds her groove after like 20 seconds. After doing the dances they were supposed to do, Perfect Incarnate lets our heroes dance freely for their freedom. Jean uses his powers of emoting, TikTokers forever jealous of this ability, and impresses the coach to the point where his moves are recognized and given a name called the Emoji Pop. It's here where Jailbreak accidentally shows that this whole time she was a princess emoji. It honestly feels like an excuse to say this scene was necessary for the plot, which would be a lie. No time for that because the androids or robots or whatever, it doesn't matter, enter the same room as our heroes who are called out by the coach. These machines within a machine within an app download a dancing protocol to start to dance as well and reach our heroes. I would sound insane if it wasn't true. After a short dance segment with these robots, the movie cuts to the real world where it's shown that the kid who owns the phone, in which most of this movie takes place, his phone, has been going off this whole time with the sounds of the app, which is the room where our trio of characters have been in. These sounds come out of the phone despite the app not currently being in use. This isn't Spotify, and I know they know what Spotify is, it shows up later. Ugh, this movie. Anyway, in a rush, Alex, the kid's name is Alex, I only mentioned that as an afterthought because so did this movie, hastily deletes the app off his phone, and the consequences are immediate, with even the coach herself falling apart. Our trio barely makes it through the room, with a sacrifice having to be made of High Five. Him and the entire app are in the trash. Now with the destination of Dropbox being right there, our 2 remaining heroes decide to go save High Five. The only other relevant scene to this video is later in the trash where the coach is seen devastated over being trashed for doing exactly what she was supposed to and being told to shut up by a virus. Now that we're all on the same page as to what happens in the scene, I could talk about how almost everything they got was wrong.
But Glue Star, why don't you assume people already saw this movie? It's been 5 years.
Because watch time, and it allows me to flex the word count of this script. First things first is the challenge. The only time a Just Dance game has had a rule where after a certain number of X feedbacks you fail is Just Dance 1 with the last man standing mode, but even that gave you 10 tries before booting you out of the songs, so this is something they completely pulled out of their butts. Also, Ubisoft barely even recognizes that game, so I doubt that they told Sony to do that. Also, they act like stars and X are the only option for feedback in Just Dance. No, there's okays, goods, and perfects, and in Just Dance 2018 they even added supers. They don't show any of this. This is terrible representation, and I'm sure Ubisoft would have or maybe did tell them and Sony simply ignored them. Like the rules, the countdown before the start of the song has only ever been a thing with Just Dance 1. Ever since Just Dance 2, as soon as the song loads, you can press the start button and the song begins almost instantly. Why is Sony so focused on Just Dance 1 when they use the stars that were introduced in Just Dance 2 and when Just Dance 1 has been discontinued from production for almost a decade when this movie came out? It's kinda dumb. Also, the countdown in Just Dance 1 started from 5 and was way faster. You might as well have also done the shake moves from Just Dance 1.
Ruyon Stare, you're being pedantic.
Yes. So, how do they really know if they are scoring correctly? Where are the dance cards that you have had to create since Just Dance 4, or the scoring bar that has been a mainstay since Just Dance 3, but started in Just Dance 1, so we can see exactly how far along in their goal of achieving 5 stars they are at? There's absolutely no HUD. The only part of the HUD you can hide in the games is the pictograms. Not that they're shown here either. They show High Five getting 5 stars, but those stars just seem to fly around him, and after not even an entire minute, he earned all 5. It has never been possible to earn all the stars of a Just Dance map in under a minute, because even if you dance absolutely perfectly, what matters is that you do that throughout the entire song. Getting every possible perfect in 1 minute can at best earn you 2, maybe 3 stars, depending on the length and amount of feedback the map offers. They also don't all look like they're doing exactly the same dance all the time. Gene turns around twice, meaning he has no idea what he's meant to do. How are they being scored in the first place though? There have always been, at most, 3 ways to earn score in Just Dance, those being the respective motion controller of the system you're playing the game on, if said console had such controller, body scanning with a Kinect and PlayStation camera, and using your phone on the new generation versions of those consoles. More on that later. They don't look to be using anything at all to actually play the game, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that this coach is constantly watching them dance like her and is judging them herself, despite the fact that that's never happened in any Just Dance game ever, because as you should know, 99% of the Just Dance coaches are just humans in white makeup who are pre-recorded dancing with the necessary motion code being done after the fact. I won't fault Sony for deciding to just animate a fake human for the role, because Ubisoft has gone on to use 3D models animated using motion capture later on in Just Dance 2020 with Bangarang, but in 2017, when the latest Just Dance game was Just Dance 2017, they have yet to do that, but I figured it didn't require its own segment. Even still, they are shown doing their own thing before being told that they're allowed to do their own thing.
Oh my god, you sure are passionate about this, girl-stir. Imagine putting half as much effort into school.
School doesn't let me speak freely on what I want to! But that's another thing. In no Just Dance game to this day has there ever been a time or mode for you to do whatever you want to still earn score like they do in this so-called free dance mode the coach announces. Dance Central did that with their freestyles, which confuses me since for a while, Ubisoft and Harmonix were competing to see who had the better dancing series. So why would they be okay with Sony blatantly showing off a feature that their rival and not them advertised? If that was a thing in Just Dance, people playing on non-Xbox consoles could just shake their console's respective controller and do it perfectly. That's why freestyle worked in Dance Central, since that was exclusive to Xbox with Kinect and you instead had to move your entire body hysterically, which is still better than just your hand. I'm just confused why this would also be on the phone app version of the game. Next thing on the chopping block is the Emoji Pop dance. Let's disregard the Wake Me Up Before You Go Go alternate that made this a real dance move for the sake of the next point. Making your own custom dances to existing songs in the games was only a thing in the Xbox 360 version of Just Dance 3, and even then the game never asks you to name your dance, nor does it work anymore because of Ubisoft long since shutting off those servers even when this movie was new. Neither Wake You Up Before You Go Go or Feel This Moment had that because neither song was in Just Dance 3, so you couldn't make your own dance for either. Now let's take it back a little bit and reiterate that Ubisoft has made this dance official in the games, but that version has an error in and of itself by having Jailbreak do multiple emotions, which has been made clear only Gene and his father can do in the movie. That's right, Ubisoft, you aren't the only one to point to in misrepresenting the source material. You could have done better too. Speaking on the official Just Dance map made to endorse this movie, this amazing angel of a coach that single-handedly makes the 10-minute scene in any way, shape, or form bearable is never seen in the Just Dance map. Instead, it's just Gene, Jailbreak, and High Five who are represented by humans in costumes, with other emojis being just 2D illustrations. I can't prove it, but I theorize that Sony offered Ubisoft the 3D models of the characters, and Ubisoft was like, perfect, now we could use them as reference material for the costumes our dancers will wear. And then Sony was like, why not just animate these models? And then Ubisoft was like, we don't do that here. I would be singing a completely different tune right now if we got to see a human recreate this coach's look in the map, even if it's just in the background, because a design like this fits in perfectly with so many designs for coaches Ubisoft has done in the past. I truly cannot comprehend why Ubisoft themselves didn't give any representation to the only thing that looks like Sony tried to represent them with. Look at her! Here's my phone. Why am I showing you my phone even though it isn't a flagship and thus looks ugly? Well, first of all, that's rude, and I'm not made of money. Anyway, it's not about my phone, but rather what's on my phone's screen. Okay, that's enough looking at my phone. Look at the screen recording. Oh look, I have the Just Dance Now app that is most likely the app used in the movie, even though in the movie it's just the Just Dance app. The reason why I specified Just Dance Now is because there are two different official Just Dance apps, but again, this is probably what they were advertising. Let's go into this app and see what's in store for us. As you can see, there are many songs that we can select through. After selecting the obvious, we get to see a video of the dance that is in store for us. Let's click play, and oops, looks like you actually have to connect to a device that can act as the room to be able to play the game using your phone as the controller. That's what this video is really about. The game and the dancing that the players do in the Just Dance app is never actually done in the app. The only thing the app allows you to do is join a room, select the song if you are the host of the room, although that can also be controlled by whoever has access to the device that is acting as the room, and use your phone as the controller for the game that is actually being played on the host device. So it makes no sense for any of what we see in this Just Dance room to happen. I know what you might say.
But Grolin Star, the texting app just lets you text and doesn't have a city within it where your emojis have lives.
And yeah, I agree, that's dumb too. The only thing that the texting app should have is a room where emojis can wait to be used. I mean, it's not like this city is at all necessary for the plot. Everything that happens outside the main emoji room could be done within it, I swear. If this movie wanted to be at all accurate, then when our trio enters the Just Dance room, the same coach woman would just say, "Welcome to Just Dance. Please enter the code of the room you would like to join. Otherwise, feel free to look around our catalog." And then our trio could just leave, not having to dance at all.
But Gluon's there. Then we wouldn't have Just Dance be advertised in this mainstream movie.
Yes, if they changed this scene of the movie, Just Dance wouldn't be advertised, but I'd argue this is a good thing considering the reception. How many people watched this movie and got a terrible impression of what Just Dance is? Especially when the other kids in Alex's class make fun of him for having the app, which he deletes. He deletes the Just Dance app. How is that good advertising? This app will embarrass you in class and you'll want to delete it forever. Would you like to play it?
This is editing Grolin Star here. I just wanted to say props to this guy for helping Alex realize it's his phone making the noise. He's a real one, as they say.
Imagine for a second if in Enter the Spider-Verse, Miles, as a conversation starter, simply asks someone, "Hey, do you play Just Dance? It's super fun." That alone would be fantastic advertising in my eyes because Enter the Spider-Verse is actually good. Sure, they didn't build a whole scene about it with several minutes of endorsement, but given that Spider-Verse is good and the Emoji Movie is bad, I'd wager that way more people would have tried Just Dance from just that one line. I'd rather have a simple advertisement on a good movie than an extravagant yet completely inaccurate advertisement in the product of hell. Anyway, my point is the app is hugely misrepresented and the advertisement could have been better. I know I just mentioned Spider-Verse, but imagine instead of High Five being the one to turn on the app, it was Alex at home playing the game like you actually would in real life, and then our trio would have to do those same dances because if they don't, Alex would see a bunch of X scores and then check his phone and might see our trios, which would be a bad thing for whatever reason. Boom, just fix your dumb bubblegum scene. Okay, so hear me out. This final section isn't about something they got wrong about Just Dance or the Just Dance Now app itself, but rather what they did to the coach in this scene. After High Five turns on the app, the coach springs into action and does what her job is. She does what she was born to do, what her entire purpose in life is. For this, she gets thrown into the trash because turning the app on caused the app to make noise in the real world of this movie. You can see her mascara running down her face. She's slowly doing the Macarena, perhaps as a coping mechanism, as all this coach knows how to do is dance. Then she says those haunting words.
I just want to dance. Dance, please, please.
These characters, most of all High Five, caused this woman who was simply doing her job to be stranded in the trash, to be deleted forever in a matter of less than 24 hours. And these characters receive no repercussions, and we're supposed to completely forget about the coach. They even have this movie's representation of a virus tell this coach, who has clearly been traumatized and had her world stripped away from her,
"Quiet, you sassy gypsy!"
to shut up. I see that as the movie telling me that liking this character and feeling sorry for her was stupid because the advertisement of Just Dance is over, and everything that happened there no longer matters. These few seconds speak louder to me than any other scene of the awfulness of this movie than anything else. This character is introduced, the character does absolutely nothing wrong and gets everything taken away from her, and while simply trying to cope with the fact that after everything gets taken away, she herself will soon be taken away, she's told to shut up and is never mentioned again. That's the other thing that bugs me. Everyone else gets a happy ending, and hey, even High Five, who was also in the trash, gets to leave it by an ex machina after being the entire problem. He caused them to have to dance their way out and had to face the consequences for less than 30 seconds and gets to go to the end and gets to be a favorite again. What does the coach, who was simply doing her job, get? Squat. Actual squat. She probably got deleted after the day was over, like they explained in the movie. High Five, you're terrible. You caused this. Your hubris made this innocent coach lose everything she's ever known and then herself, and you never even acknowledge it. You never even think for 1 second that you caused your own downfall in that very scene. You, High Five, are nothing but a spineless leech, and I know that the only reason Gene wanted to get you out of there was because the plot and premise demanded it. Any person with even a modicum of brain space would recognize you as dead weight and put rescuing you at the bottom of their priority list, if you make it there at all. If it was me in the position Gene was in, after you fell into the trash, sure, I would go rescue you because you are a life in this fictional world and thus you have value. The same way that if my childhood bully was about to fall to their death, I'd stop them simply because their life, as much of it they spent making mine awful, has value. But only after doing everything else I wanted to do, because you should reap what you sow. Maybe not death, but the fear of potential death would be enough. Hey, at least you eventually get to leave and live in my version, unlike that coach that you condemned for doing nothing wrong. Especially to you, because she gave you the stars. You succeeded, you did it all perfectly, and yet there she is, alone, traumatized, coping in any way she can before her inevitable end.
Jesus Christ!
I don't regret a word of what I've said. Imagine on your 5th birthday, after already being hated on for those entire 5 years, someone pulls you aside and talks for a long time about one thing that you did bad, in particular going into every detail like a crazy person because that thing you did wrong had to do with something the person was passionate about. Happy birthday, Emoji Movie. You were a mistake, and if it wasn't for Spider-Verse, it's possible Sony would have killed their animation division thanks to you. And thank you for getting to the end of this video. Adios.